Thank you for joining me today on Ready Aim Stamp. Today we are going to make this fun Z-fold card, and we are going to use the embossing folder shells, seashells. We are going to use the stamp set Friends Are Like Seashells, and we are going to use the Seabed 3D embossing folder also. The paper supplies we are going to use are a piece of mint macaron. It is cut at 11 inches by 4 1/4. It is scored at 2 3/4 and then scored at 5 1/2. And I do the scoring before I run it through the embossing folder. That just worked better for me. We also will need a couple pieces of basic white, and they will be cut to 4 inches by 2 1/2 inches, and a scrap of just jade, and this just needs to be at least 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. All right, let's get ready, aim, and stamp. All right, using the just jade, I am going to cut out this seaweed and seashell die cut, and then after I cut it out, we're going to lay it down on and line it up on the seashells embossing folder, and it is just going to look so pretty. I'll be right back. All right, here is our die cut, and this coordinates with the different stamps on the set. They line up, and since they're photopolymer, it really helps. You can line them all up in your Stamparatus at once if you want. There's 5 little shells, or you could use them on the clear blocks and just line them up that way. And if you're gonna stamp the shells on here and then and emboss it, then I definitely recommend stamping the image on first. With this card, I stamped the image on different colored cardstocks, and then I ran them through the embossing folder, and it just gives that extra fun dimension to the card. I love that Stampin' Up made this coordinate so well together. So here is that embossing folder, and we're just going to open it up, and we're going to just lay that die cut paper on there, and you can either use a low tack tape or washi tape and tape it down if you're afraid you're going to move it too much when you run it through your embossing plate through the machine, or you can just take it over there, either one. And I will be right back. All right, we'll run it through the embossing folder, and there we have it. I just love it. I can't get enough over how cool this whole set is, the whole suite. All right, so I'm going to set that aside, and that embossing folder, and I'm going to get out the Seabed embossing folder. Now, you can use your ink pads directly on here and ink them up. That's what I did on this card. You can see it better in the background, the design, and I wanted to show off both sides, so I inked up both sides of the folder on this one. But for the card today, I just liked the subtle and soft look of just having it be embossed. So for our card, I am going to actually run this through twice, once to get the top half or bottom half, and once to get the top half. So I just am lining it up with where the embossing ends at the top, trying to get it fairly straight, and then I'm going to run that through my embossing, my Big Shot. Hold on, and I'll be right back. All right, I've run that through the Big Shot, my die cutting and embossing machine, and now I'm going to just slide it down and line up my fold with the bottom part of the folder, and run that through again. And I am keeping this side with the Stampin' Up symbol. That is acting as my top. And so, actually, I probably should have done that opposite on this one. Nope, I did it good. Sorry, thinking to myself, second guessing. So I'm going to go and I'm going to run this through the Big Shot. All right, here we have it, fresh from the die cut machine. And it's just all there. And now I can burnish my folds and use my bone folder. And just burnish them and kind of line them up. There we go. So there is the main body of our card. If you wanted, you could have one more piece of the card coming out for another mountain fold, but I just liked the simplicity and I didn't really need a whole lot of room, I didn't think, on this to write my regards to my friend. All right, so now we're going to get ready to stamp our images. I'm going to clean up the surface a little bit. All right, so I also grabbed one of my Whisper White envelopes because I am going to stamp off so that my ink colors on the shells are not too overpowering dark. And this paper is actually the basic white, which is their new formula for white, because they had to switch out their formulas. So I don't know how well in my craft room light you can tell, but there's a slight difference between the two colors. Well, I'm not going to let that bother me since one is the envelope. I am going to use Highland Heather, Soft Suede, and Calypso Coral for my seashells and my sentiment. And I'm going to start with this big shell here. And since I'm stamping off, I thought it would be fun to, instead of waste that first inking, since I don't have another project planned, I would just coordinate my envelope right now. So here we go. Oh, and I need my foam mat so that I get a good impression. Okay, grabbed the foam mat. So I'm just gonna kind of put this down in the left corner of my envelope front. I love it. And then use that second inking to stamp on my inside part of my card where I'm going to put my sentiment. There. And I'm going to wash off my stamp real quick. If I don't do it now, I might forget, and that would be bad. All right, and then, let's see, whoops, that's the wrong card I'm looking at. I'm going to use my Highland Heather for this other small shell. And I'll just have it be, oops, I think down here on the card, or envelope. And I have it kind of there on the inside of the card. So there we go. Clean that off. And I'm going to turn my envelope over and use soft suede on the other shell. And it's going to be on the part where I would sign my name. So, that one up. And here we go. All right, and my envelope is decorated and ready to go. Here's this part of my card. And then I am going to stamp my sentiment. And it says, "Friends are like seashells. You collect them along the way." And there we are. And we're ready to put our card together. In just one moment while I clean up my workspace. All right. I have all my parts and pieces. I can move my envelope aside. I also brought in some Wink of Stella and some multi-purpose liquid glue. So first I am going to go ahead and glue my sentiment and my other little inside piece down onto my card. And I'm just going to line this one up in the interior part. And then my sentiment and seashells. Now you could definitely add bling and just shine this card up. I just wanted to keep it fairly simple and kind of just highlight that embossing on there. So I just decided to take my Wink of Stella and just kind of brush across the raised part of the shells. And if you feel like you're not getting enough, you just kind of give it a little squeeze, and that shoots a little more liquid and glitter out to the brush ends. And you can be fairly sloppy with this, which is great. I like that. And I just like the glitter. I think it's very subtle way of highlighting it. You know, Nancy and I, we like to use our Wink of Stella anyway, so. Almost done. There. So, since this part is going to sit here, I just kind of want to eyeball it and see how it fits on there, so I know I don't want to go much past this little spot with my glue. So I can turn that over. And then add my glue. I don't hit every spot on there. I just get it fairly good. And then, oops, line it back up and get it down there. And if you are concerned about it not drying well, you can always put a block on top of it until it's dry. But I don't think it should be a problem. There we go. We have our very beautiful, I think it's called a Z-fold card, and ready to send to a friend. Thank you again for joining me on Ready Aim Stamp. You can feel free, if you don't have a demonstrator already, to go ahead and go to my site if you would like to purchase any of the supplies to make these cards. Thank you. Have a great day and happy card making.